Here's part 4 of our story a day from Peanuts for the month of October, a countdown to Halloween. A story for October 19th. Go away. Linus realized he hadn't been able to convince anyone that the Great Pumpkin was real, and the Great Pumpkin was probably very sad. That night, Linus wrote the Great Pumpkin a letter. Dear Great Pumpkin, I know you must be sad that I haven't gotten anyone else to believe in you. I have been trying very hard, but I promise to try even harder. As a matter of fact, I'm going to visit some of my neighbors tomorrow and tell them about you. I'm sure they will be very interested, and by the time Halloween is here, you will see a pumpkin patch filled with new friends. I'm looking forward to meeting you soon. Sincerely, Linus Van Pelt. Linus mailed his letter, and later that night he dreamed he was in a pumpkin patch filled with happy, smiling people, all cheering for the Great Pumpkin. When he woke up, he was determined to make his dream come true. It was Saturday, and so right after breakfast, Linus decided to visit some of his neighbors. He picked a pretty house with a bright white door and a big pumpkin on the porch. Linus thought the pumpkin was a good sign. He rang the doorbell. Go away, a girl's voice yelled. But Linus was determined to talk to someone new about the Great Pumpkin. Hello, Linus shouted back. I'd just like to speak with you for a few minutes. You had better leave right now, the voice shouted, or I'm sending my dog out to get you. Now, Linus was nervous. He wanted to talk about the Great Pumpkin, but at the same time, he didn't want to get bitten by a dog. Okay, I'm leaving, Linus said hurriedly. I'm sorry to have bothered you. Suddenly, a girl peeked out the front door. Hi, she said. Hi, Linus said back. I'm sorry to have bothered you. Please don't have your dog bite me. That's okay, the girl said. Then she shrugged. I don't even have a dog. A story for October 20th. Lucky Snoopy. Halloween was Snoopy's favorite holiday. This Halloween, he was dressed up as a World War I flying ace. He wore a red scarf, goggles, and a cap. He got a lot of looks everywhere he and Charlie Brown went, but Snoopy didn't mind. He loved being the center of attention. Soon Snoopy and Charlie Brown saw someone walking down the street in a ghost costume. A cloud of dirt swirled at the ghost's feet. Happy Halloween, Pigpen, Charlie Brown said. How did you know it was me? Pigpen asked. Soon Lucy arrived dressed as a witch, and the four of them set off to go trick-or-treating together. They walked up to the first house and rang the doorbell. A grown-up opened the door. Trick or treat, Charlie Brown, Lucy, and Pigpen said. Woof, Snoopy barked. The grown-up dropped treats into their bags one by one. Once they were back on the sidewalk, Lucy peered inside her bag. Awesome, I got a lollipop, she said. I got a piece of chocolate, Pigpen said. Snoopy looked inside his bag. Beaming, he pulled out 3 giant candy bars. At the next house, Lucy got a stick of gum. Pigpen got taffy. Meanwhile, Snoopy received 5 peanut butter treats and taffy and gum. That's not fair, Lucy complained. Snoopy is just a dog, and he doesn't even say trick or treat or thank you. I'm more than just a dog, Snoopy thought. I'm the famous World War I flying ace. As they went from house to house, Snoopy always received the most candy. Finally, after a girl gave Snoopy 2 full handfuls of gumdrops, Lucy couldn't stand it anymore. Why did you give him more candy than me? She demanded. Are you kidding? The girl said. Just look at him. That's the best costume I've ever seen. I almost thought he was a real dog. Good grief, Charlie Brown mumbled. Snoopy just clutched his full treat bag and giggled. It happened over and over again. Snoopy got the most candy at every house they went to. It's not fair, Lucy repeated. Snoopy just shrugged. What can he say, he thought. I'm just a lucky dog. A story for October 21st. Sally loves nicknames. One Halloween, Sally agreed to wait for the Great Pumpkin with Linus in the pumpkin patch. She was thrilled, of course. Sally would have been thrilled to do absolutely anything with Linus. She thought Linus was wonderful. So now that we are here, what do we do? She asked Linus. We just sit and wait, Linus said. Okay, Sally said. What time is he coming? I have no idea, Linus said. He could come in 5 minutes or 5 hours. Sally was a little confused when she heard that. Why couldn't we have gone trick-or-treating first and then come to the pumpkin patch? She asked. Because then we might have missed him, Linus explained. We have to be here all Halloween night and wait to show we really believe in him. Sally smiled. Okay, my sweet baboo, she said. We'll wait. Linus sighed. Thank you, Sally, but I'm not your sweet baboo. Sally smiled to herself. That's what you think, she thought. Linus, what's your favorite color? She asked. Linus thought for a moment. I'm not sure, he said. Maybe green. I like green a lot. Why do you ask? Sally shrugged. Well, Christmas will be here soon. I was just thinking about what type of present I was going to get for you. Linus was embarrassed. Sally, please, you don't have to buy me a gift. Then he smiled at her and added, Your presence here tonight is present enough. Sally gave Linus a big hug. Oh, thank you, my sweet baboo, she gushed. Sally, I'm not your sweet baboo, Linus repeated. Please stop calling me that. Sally sighed. When Linus realized they were destined to be together, Then she had a thought. Maybe he does realize it, but he's just being shy. That was it. He was just too shy to admit he liked her too. Sally gave Linus another quick squeeze. Okay, Pumpkin, she said. A story for October 22nd. Halloween Crush. Charlie Brown remembered last year's Halloween party. Everyone was having a great time. Some kids were bobbing for apples, some kids were dancing, some kids were decorating pumpkins. Suddenly, Charlie Brown spotted the little red-haired girl on the other side of the room by the punch bowl. Her back was to him, but he could see her beautiful red hair. He gasped. She was wearing a princess outfit and a tiara. Look, there's that little red-haired girl, Charlie Brown whispered to Linus. She looks even prettier than usual. You'll never find a better time to talk to her, Linus said. Go say something to her now. What should I say? Charlie Brown asked. He was suddenly nervous. You know I'm not very good at starting conversations, Linus, especially around the little red-haired girl. Whenever I try to talk to her, my mind goes blank. I get tongue-tied. Just say hi, Linus said. Play it cool. Just act natural. You just told me you thought she looked pretty, right? Compliment her in her costume. Charlie Brown decided to take Linus's advice. He would start a nice conversation with the little red-haired girl. He slowly approached the punch bowl and took a deep breath. Linus is right, Charlie Brown thought. What do I have to lose? Then he tapped the little red-haired girl on the shoulder. Excuse me, Charlie Brown said. I just wanted to tell you I really like your costume, but you look like a princess every day to me. The girl turned around, and it was Peppermint Patty wearing a red wig. She gave Charlie Brown a huge smile. Gee, thanks, Chuck, she said. Wait till I tell Marcy. I always knew you liked me, you sly dog. Charlie Brown gulped. Not only did he not get a chance to talk to the little red-haired girl, but now Peppermint Patty was convinced he liked her. Good grief. A story for October 23rd. Halloween means naturally curly hair. Last Halloween, Frida decided to be a fairy princess. She was going to wear a glittery purple gown and a silver crown. The crown will go perfectly with my naturally curly hair, she said excitedly. After she was finished getting ready to go to Lucy's Halloween party, Frida heard a knock on the door. It was her friend Violet. Hi, Frida, Violet said. I love your costume. I love yours too, Frida replied. Violet was dressed as a scary vampire. The girls headed over to Lucy's house for the Halloween party. All of their friends were there. Franklin was dressed as a magician, and Charlie Brown was a superhero. Okay, everyone, Lucy suddenly shouted. Time for Halloween games. We're going to bob for apples. You have 10 seconds to try and grab one. Violet was excited to play. Frida, let's do it, she said. My giant fangs will definitely give me an advantage. Frida tried to imagine playing. She imagined putting her head in the barrel and coming up with her wonderful, naturally curly hair, soaking wet, dripping all over her beautiful costume. No, I'm sorry. It looks like fun, but I can't play, she said sadly. Suddenly, Franklin had an idea. He took off his magician hat and placed it on the ground. Hocus pocus, he said. A few moments later, he lifted it up. A giant purple bow had magically appeared under the hat. Here, Frida, Franklin said. You can cover your hair with this bow. Frida didn't know how Franklin's magic spell had worked, but she didn't care. Now she could bob for apples and not get her beautiful curls all wet. Thanks, Franklin, Frida said. I love the bow, and it's even purple to match my costume. A story for October 24th. And the winner is... Charlie Brown wanted to enter the costume contest at Violet's Halloween party. He was determined to put together a fantastic costume and win. But what should he dress up as? A ghost? A big scary monster? What about a baseball player? That would be really easy, since he already had a uniform cap and gloves. But then he thought about his friends would probably tease him because he wasn't a very good baseball player in real life. Charlie Brown decided to ask Snoopy because Snoopy loved to dress up. Snoopy, what should I wear to Violet's Halloween party? Snoopy pulled out a big trunk with lots of costumes. After rejecting a bunch of them, he pulled out an oddly shaped hat with a feather. You want me to be a pirate? Charlie Brown said, surprised. Then he thought about it. I like it, he said. Snoopy nodded happily. But as the party drew nearer, Charlie Brown wasn't sure about his pirate costume. He kept trying new things. He added a puffy shirt, a long velvet jacket, and boots, but it still didn't seem special enough. When the night of the party finally arrived, Charlie Brown walked over to Snoopy's doghouse for one last look. Snoopy was there with his best friend, Woodstock. They both looked Charlie Brown's costume up and down. Something is missing, Snoopy thought. Then Woodstock chirped excitedly to Snoopy. He had an idea. Snoopy smiled. Woodstock's idea was perfect. Charlie Brown entered the Halloween costume contest and won. What was the difference? I couldn't figure out what was missing at first, Charlie Brown said. But then we realized every good pirate needs a crew. And then he pointed to Snoopy and Woodstock, who were dressed up as pirates too. They were a winning team. And this will, I think, be the last one for this recording. A story for October 25th. Second chance. Sally had decided to give the Great Pumpkin one more chance. She told Linus she would wait in the pumpkin patch with him on Halloween night. So what if the Great Pumpkin didn't show up? She would get to spend time alone with her sweet Baboo, and that meant the world to her. It was a beautiful starry night. Linus had picked out a spot right in the middle of the pumpkin patch. Sally was pleased to see that her decision had been worth it. She was enjoying spending her time with Linus. They both settled in and waited and waited and waited. After a little while, Sally heard kids laughing in the distance. Did you hear that? I hear people laughing, she said to Linus. Linus looked a little uncomfortable. Yes, you can sometimes hear kids trick-or-treating. Oh, Sally said. Then they were both quiet again for a while. Then Sally heard something else. Now I hear music, she said. Linus squirmed. That's probably music from Violet's house, he told her. She usually plays the music pretty loud. The music was the last straw for Sally. She stood up angrily and exclaimed, I tried, Linus. I really tried. I wanted to stay here with you and wait for the Great Pumpkin. But Halloween only comes once a year, and Violet throws the best parties. She has games and dancing and pizza. I just can't do it. I'm leaving. And with that, Sally rushed off, leaving Linus in the pumpkin patch alone. Linus didn't know what to say. He couldn't promise that the Great Pumpkin was going to show up because he wasn't actually sure. In desperation, he yelled out the only thing he could think of that might work. Sally, come back. You can call me your sweet Baboo. All right, that's our last one for this one. I'm going to make one more recording that will have the rest of the stories for October. Thanks for listening.